the tubular structure buildings, all the modern high-rise buildings, you see them. And the biggest examples is the Sears Towers in John Hancock, where the people were able to make and build 100 stories building from his inventions. Our second generation of Muslims who have been born and raised here, they are very much involved in the Silicon Valley. They are building the companies. Muslims from the profession of aerospace to medicinal sciences, they are really the true Muslims. And this is the other side of the Islam, which is not blowing yourself up, not killing yourself up, but giving something word in return. Again, I am very thankful to you that you came to this convention. Our honorable guest, we are really thankful coming down here, and you'll be able to see the other side of Islam. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Jazakallah khair. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Kullu nafsin zaiqatul maut, every soul shall taste death. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, to you we belong to you we shall return. My dear brothers and sisters, while we are celebrating 43 years of our presence, accomplishments, and contributions in North America, on a very sad note, this year we also mourn the loss of some of the prominent leaders, activists, and supporters of ISNA. On the top of the list is Dr. Dillawaz Siddiqui, Brother Sayyid Salman, Brother Aftab Ahmad Khan, Brother Nazir Bek, Brother Muzaffar Partoma, and Brother Ahmad Hussain. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them a place in Jannah and give patience to their near and dear ones. And I urge you to make dua for their maghfirah. I would also like to take this opportunity to remind you to remember all those who serve the Muslim community in this country. We all owe them big time. You develop courage by surviving difficult times and challenging adversity. I know our next two speakers have displayed these qualities during the past natural calamities and disasters by providing relief, help, and assistance, especially during the devastating earthquake that struck Pakistan and Kashmir. Let me introduce the President of the Association of Pakistani Physicians of North America, popularly known as ISNA. Please welcome Dr. Abdul Rashid Paracha.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I represent the Association of Physicians of Pakistani descent. This includes people like me who came here as immigrants and became citizens. It also includes our children who are born, raised, educated, either in the U.S. medical schools or abroad. We actually are a strong 10,000 Pakistani descent physicians practicing in this country, in each and every corner of this country. Our organization is a charitable, caring, and a professional organization. Through the spirit to our profession, we have shown and come forward to every calamity that has occurred in the recent past, whether it be in the United States, whether it be Katrina, whether it be tsunami, the earthquake of Iran, or the recent earthquake of Pakistan. In the earthquake of Pakistan, we volunteered 200 of our own physicians that worked in the earthquake area. We also had a collaboration with the MASH unit in Azad Kashmir, where our physicians from here volunteered to work in the Muzaffarabad area. So Muslims, we don't call our physicians as Muslim physicians of North America, but the majority, over 95% of our members are Muslims. So the concerns that Muslims have in this country are also the concerns of our membership. We are concerned about some racial profiling. It would be a mishap for me not to mention something that are going so good for us in this country, but there are some things that are not going so well for us, and we have to mention those. My son, who is an ophthalmologist, recently was asked by a senior ophthalmologist that he has a Pakistani-born American ophthalmologist who he likes very well. He respects his profession, he respects his integrity, he respects his ethics of work. But he has another partner who is not Muslim and who has a problem whether he should take him into his practice or not. This is very concerning to all of us, all American citizens, that now this racial profiling by some people have gone to the point where it's interfering with our own profession. I would urge to the government that at this time we can do, I can do a practice in my area for 40 years. Everybody likes me, everybody loves me, everybody likes my work. But a far out bomb somewhere just overrides all my work in my community. And things don't change by us working at it. It's the job of the government to please clear this racial profiling that we have, that is being developed at this stage, so that we all, as American Muslims, can work for the development of this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paracha. Please welcome the President of the Islamic Medical Association of North America, IMANA, Dr. Sheikh N. Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of the Islamic Medical Association of North America, I welcome you to this convention. This is the forum in which we will renew old acquaintances. We will, inshallah, establish new ones. We will share knowledge. We will reinforce our existing knowledge that we have. We will revive the dormant knowledge in us that is good for mankind. And we will gain new information. But it does us no good to have knowledge and not put it in practice. When we sit in the lecture halls and we become invigorated, my brothers and sisters in Islam and friends, let us continue that after we leave here, and let us keep it up for a long, long time to come. Just very briefly, let me tell you a little bit about what the Islamic Medical Association of North America has been doing and plan to continue to do, and this will take all but 30 seconds. We have been involved with medical relief worldwide, including right here in North America. We have developed position papers on various medical aspects, including medical ethics. We serve as local resource people to the local masjids. We serve as resource people to the United States medical establishment as a whole. Now, medical students, Muslim medical students, when they graduate from medical schools, they take the oath of the Muslim physicians. We will, inshallah, promote research, education, and collegiality. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us His wisdom and His guidance and forgive us of all the shortcomings that we have. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and do good, Allah loves the good doers. So Jazakallah khair for all your good work. Robert Brault once said, I value the friend who for me finds time on his calendar, but I cherish the friend who for me does not consult his calendar. So today we have some very important and distinguished dignitaries who took the time out of their very busy schedule, and we are all very honored by their presence. To introduce the first distinguished guest, I would like to request Dr. Louis Safi, Executive Director of ISNA Leadership Development Center, to come to the podium and introduce our next distinguished guest.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and good afternoon. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you a person of a great character, achievements, and a friend of our community. Gordon England, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, is a native of Baltimore. He earned his bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland and started a career as an electrical engineer. He later earned a master's degree from Texas Christian University and rose to become president of some of America's biggest corporations. Secretary England has a distinguished career both as businessman and public servant. He was twice confirmed by the Senate as the Secretary of the Navy. First, 2001, as the 72, the 72nd Secretary of Navy, and 2 years later as the 73rd Secretary of the Navy. Therefore, become the second person to serve twice in the position, and the first in history to serve back-to-back terms. Now, don't ask me who was the first one. In 2003, he was confirmed as the first Deputy Secretary of the newly established Department of Homeland Security. Last year, because of his leadership, he was tapped to become the 29th Deputy Secretary of Defense. Secretary England is a legendary for his energy and engagement. In addition to his many duties at the Pentagon, he meets regularly in Washington with many diplomats who represent Muslim nations around the world, in addition to other nations. And we do appreciate that he really said, I will stay here and don't worry about my calendar because I want to meet with the Muslim community. Last June, and that's something of interest to all of us, he presided over the dedication of the first Islamic prayer center to be established on a military base in the United States. The Quintaco Marine Corps base Islamic Prayer Center was dedicated this June. Gordon England is a man of honor, intelligence, and integrity who has given his time and energy to serve America. So please help me welcome Secretary England.
Friends, fellow Americans, and people of faith, good afternoon, and thank you to Dr. Louis Safi for the fine introduction. I thank you for your friendship also, and a special thanks to Sheikh Mohammed Nur Abdullah and Dr. Ingrid Mattson for their leadership and for the opportunity, the invitation to join the Islamic Society of the North American Conference today. I also want to thank them for the delightful lunch we had today with the leadership of the Society. We just had a wonderful opportunity to dialogue and discuss today, and I thank them very, very much for that wonderful opportunity. I do want to tell you it is a profound honor for me to be here with you today. And being here, I represent all the men and women in the United States military and all the civilians who serve America in the Department of Defense and throughout the United States government. In every single generation, patriotic citizens of America and our friends and allies have stepped forward to defend freedom and liberty. And I want to take a moment to thank all the military veterans and all those who currently serve, because I'll tell you, we all owe them a profound debt of gratitude. The themes of this conference, faith, family, and community, are in many ways the very foundation of this great nation. These basic values of daily life are the building blocks for the high and noble ideals of freedom and liberty that this nation has proclaimed since its birth. If you go back to the Declaration of Independence, written during the time of the American Revolution, it declares the right for everyone to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. More recently, in 1941, when the nation was under threat, and this time from the forces of fascism, President Roosevelt spoke with hope of a world founded on 4 essential human freedoms: the freedom of speech and expression, the freedom of every person everywhere to worship God in his own way, the freedom from want, and the freedom from fear. And certainly all of us, everyone at this conference, have benefited from these fundamental freedoms, because freedom creates opportunity. Freedom is the bedrock that has allowed so many of us here today to build successful careers: doctors, lawyers, professors, business executives, government leaders, many, many others. And over the course of America's history, many people have made great sacrifices to protect this precious freedom. And they did it for your benefit and for my benefit. During my introduction, Dr. Safi said that I was from Baltimore. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and on the 7th of December, Pearl Harbor, I was 4 years old. I was born in 1937, so I was 4 years old on December the 7th. And I still remember, as a very young boy in Baltimore, I remember the blackouts and the civil defense wardens and all those things that were going on during World War II, if you happen to be a young boy at home during the war. In my neighborhood where we played, I lived right in the city itself in a row house in Baltimore City. And right in my neighborhood, where all the streets came together, there was a very small area of grass, and all the children would play on this little grass square. And we were playing. It was 1945 when workers came one day and they erected a small sign, like a street sign, but a little sign on the pole in the middle of the square. And the sign said, Francis Callahan Jr. Square. And I remember it very, very vividly. And I didn't know, none of us children who lived in Baltimore and were playing on the square knew what that meant, but it turned out my parents told me it was called the Francis Callahan Jr. Square because the Callahans lived on the corner of the square, and their son, Francis Callahan Jr., had been killed recently on Iwo Jima, and so the family named the square after their son. Now, the reason I mention these experiences, my experiences as a boy, is that the courage of our military in those days and the will and the determination of the United States and our friends and allies made the life that I've lived possible. And I expect many of your lives also, because it was freedom that triumphed in World War II. Now, when the war ended, people felt entitled to a period of peace, but history did not cooperate. Rather, freedom found itself threatened again, this time by communism in Korea, which was the first bloody battle of a Cold War. And in those days, President Dwight D. Eisenhower said, "The history of free men is never written by chance, but by choice, by their choice." And during the Cold War, the long time of the Cold War, the political leaders of the free world made the choice to stand together. They disagreed about many things, but they did choose to put security and freedom and liberty first. And the shared will and the commitment of the United States and our friends and allies won the day for liberty. After the Cold War ended, most people again expected a peace dividend, but instead on 9/11, terrorists turned civilian airlines into guided missiles, and 3,000 people of 60 different nationalities died that day. And I believe I know why 30,000 people died that day. 30,000 people died that day because the terrorists did not know how to kill 30,000 or 300,000 or 3 million. But they would have if they could have, and they're still trying. The terrorists who threaten us know no national boundaries. All who love liberty and freedom are fair game for their brutality and aggression. Terrorists, with their distorted ideology, are intimidating countries and regions and religions and peaceful people throughout the world. No nation is immune. No people are immune. These terrorists offer no hope for the future. Rather, theirs is a bloody campaign against societies that do not fit their narrow view. And this is the fundamental challenge of our time. And just like World War II and just like the Cold War, once again, the course of history will be decided by the choices that people make, whether the terrorist path of violence or the far better path of peace, development, and freedom. It's also a time of choice for nations of the world. America and our key partners are choosing to help lead the way towards greater freedom in parts of the world that have known far too little of it. President Bush has said we will act boldly in freedom's cause. This is not the time for America to pull back from the world. This is a time for America's bold leadership and for international cooperation and resolve. While military action against those extremists who do others harm is a necessary part of that resolve, it is not sufficient. Another important part of the solution is clearly demonstrating and making known in no uncertain terms that there is no contradiction between the peaceful religion of Islam and America's values and principles. Muslims, an integral part of the fabric of America, are successful in building careers, raising families, and strengthening their communities. You, my friends, are the shining example for the rest of the world. One way that you can make a profound difference in the fundamental struggle of the 21st century is by ensuring that your voice is heard. You can help bridge the cultural gap, both here in America and in abroad. And I challenge the Islamic Society of North America to be even more active